This is video instruction for assignment 25, chemical equations as recipes, meant to be done at home. We're bringing proportional reasoning into a balanced chemical equation. That's the goal. So first, let's see what we have here. We're trying to produce a silver chloride precipitate. Silver nitrate, here's copper chloride. Silver chloride precipitate would mean AgCl, solid, insoluble. If you look this up, it'll be insoluble. Now, what's left over is copper and nitrate. Think about this before I show you. Copper plus 2 ion, I can tell from this formula or from the periodic table. Nitrate, a minus 1 ion. Copper nitrate therefore must be 2 nitrates for every copper ion. Solid or aqueous, I looked that up on the solubility chart. If you're perceptive, you'll see that all nitrates are soluble, so that means this will be aqueous. Question 2 brings in mathematics. Now it says write the molar mass that corresponds to each of these substances. The second sentence says consider coefficients when you make these calculations. So if you notice, this equation is not correctly balanced as written. Does need a coefficient of 2, another coefficient of 2 to be correctly balanced. I'll show you how to do the first substance, and then you can try to do the remaining 3 and then check your answer with me. So silver is 108 grams as an atomic mass. Nitrate is 14 and 48. So that adds up to a total of 170 for a silver nitrate molar mass. But this 2 is a multiplier, so you'll want to take 2 times 170, which is 340 grams. So this is the number that corresponds to 2 molar masses of silver nitrate, 340 grams. Pause the tape and try to do the rest of these on your own, then check with me after you've got answers. I'm about to reveal my answers. If you haven't done it yet, really, pause the tape. So here we go. These are my answers. You should see that the total on the left, 340 plus 134, that's a total of 474 on the left. That will equal the total on the right, 286 plus 474. So the total on the left side of the equation will equal the total on the right side of the equation. This is a general truth. This is called the conservation of mass in chemical equations. Number 3 is not really a question, but it does say that this equation that we've just calculated with proportionate masses is a recipe. It tells you what to put in. 340 grams of silver nitrate, react that with 134 grams of copper chloride, and it tells you what will come out. You'll make 286 grams of silver chloride, 188 grams of copper nitrate. I want you to see this is very similar to the cookie recipe. That told you what to put in and told you what you'll get out as well. Look at question number 4. Talks about producing 12.5 grams of silver chloride. The recipe here produces 286 grams, so this will be a scaled down recipe. What mass of silver nitrate would be required? What do we have to start with? Over here, the silver nitrate. How much? This problem is best solved using proportional reasoning. Pause the tape, try your hand at setting up a proportion, then come back and check with me. Here's how I'll start this. I'll say X grams silver nitrate corresponds to 12.5 grams of silver chloride. This is the question expressed mathematically. This is the known, 12.5 grams of silver chloride. This is the unknown, what mass is silver nitrate? X grams silver nitrate, don't know that. 12.5 grams of silver chloride is the desired product. That's half the proportion. The other half of the proportion relies on the recipe here. This is the original recipe. This tells you what the known ratio will be. This will have to be grams of silver nitrate so that it lines up. This will have to be grams of silver chloride so that both the top and the bottom correspond to what's on the other side of the proportion. Your proportion may look different, you might have lined it up differently, but it has to have the numbers that I'm about to put in. The truth, 340 grams of silver nitrate corresponds to 286 grams of silver chloride. If you haven't already solved this, pause the tape now and solve it before I show you the answer. I'm cross multiplying. I have 286x equals 12.5 times 340. Now I'm pulling out my calculator and I will type in the proper numbers to get an answer. 12.5 times 340 is 4,250. 286x equals 4,250. I will divide both sides by 286 to get x equals. And I have x equals 14.9. What's the label? Label is grams of silver nitrate. That I'll put a box around. That's the answer to the question. Now I'll think about this answer. It's a little larger than the given quantity. So I'll go back up to my chemical equation and see, is it right that the mass of silver nitrate should be larger than the mass of silver chloride? So according to my recipe, it is correct that the silver nitrate mass should be larger than the silver chloride mass, not by a whole lot. And that's good news because my value here is larger than the silver chloride mass, but not by a whole lot. This last question is very interesting from a chemist's point of view. You're putting in a total of 10 grams of reactants, and it says, can you expect to produce 10 grams of products in these 1-to-1 ratios? The conservation of mass says that if whatever mass you react will produce an equal mass of products. We did that addition earlier. So you might think that that would apply here. But the correct answer is no, you should not expect 5 grams of silver chloride and 5 grams of copper nitrate. And I'll leave it up to you to try to come up with a scientific explanation for why this is not the expected outcome. And we'll take a look at that tomorrow in class.